Asmodeus, Lucifer, Iblis, Ruha. Many are the names owned by Old Scratch, the ruler of hell and the tramp who leers at its red door. To the world of Galadon, they know this figure as Faurstyr, and today I tell you his story, one of secrets, countless schemes left untold, many buried by this creature at the crossroads. Welcome. Alright, I hope you all are having a wonderful day, for as we continue our villain series, I think that it's right that I take you on another journey through the cosmos. Last week, our discussion of the Puppet Master took us up a floor to the realm of dreaming, so it's only right that this time we drop back down. I'm a big fan of using devils at the table, and normally I'd mix some of my D&D thoughts with actual details about the world, but there's just such an immense amount of things to talk about when it comes to the devils of Galadon. And this is only meant to be Faurstyr's video, so I'll mainly focus on his personality, how I play him, and how he came to shape the infernal realm of Galadon. Faurstyr isn't exactly easy to find, but he's surprisingly active on the mortal realm. While many of Galadon's masterminds like to scheme in secret, hidden away from most other folk, Faurstyr tends to walk among the masses. It's really just a prospect of entertainment. Faurstyr's eyes see mortal lives a bit like dominoes, and he likes to work out just how many he can topple with the most delicate of touches. He does see us as more interesting than anything in his own realm, if only slightly. Most mortals are fragile things to him, but he does occasionally take an interest in what he considers to be more spirited individuals. He's always the first to poach those candidates as his warlocks, but his standards aren't exactly easy to reach. Of the limited warlocks who do serve him, next to none of them actually know the true nature of whom they serve. Part of this plays into Faurstyr's demeanor. He's refined and courtly, but hardly ostentatious. He'd more easily be mistaken for a minstrel or a noble's advisor than as royalty. He definitely does ring more of the infernal than your average tiefling, though. Faurstyr is a creature of finery with a presentation of humility. He's an ally, an aid, a friend. Let us descend now into Faurstyr's domain, but also revoke the passage of time to an earlier point in Galadon's history, amidst the first age of mortals, when the world was new. I'm sure you've heard the expression, the 9 circles of hell. It's an invention of Dante Alighieri, and when thought of in the context of D&D, it's an idea that's taken rather literally. In D&D, all 9 layers of hell sit nicely atop each other in a stack. Notably, this is not the case in Galadon. Or is it? Were we to observe the infernal realm at this time, they would be indeed 9 hells. And they are in chaos. 9 planes is a lot of territory, a lot of players who want it all. Even the devils are still starting out. It's maybe only been a century or two since everything was primordial soup. It's all very new. The devils are amidst a type of warring states period, like feudal Japan, or warring layers in this case. Then, all of a sudden, someone stepped forth to seal this vacuum, and brought the 9 under one banner. Though one day he would be king, this was not Faurstyr. The first ruler can only really be known as such, as their very existence is more of a concept than anything else. History hides even from us, as Faurstyr has worked very hard to erase his predecessor's name from existence. Under their rule, the warlords become aristocrats, serving only in matters politic and commanding their armies to march when told to. And never was there a greater abundance of battles to be fought than in this time of veritable peace. Beneath the lowest layer of hell, the rabid chaos of the abyss is starting to break through. Demonic hordes are starting to rally. An ancient corruption of greater horror than even what the fiercest minds of the Nine can conceive is starting to intrude on their territory, something akin to D&D's Blood War. At the same time, high warriors of the heavens who hunt the few devils who dare to walk among mortals are starting to see vulnerability from the Infernals. The stage is set. Still before Annual Reckoning, one devil returned from one of these suicide missions against the demonic powers, and went into exile thereafter. Of the hundreds upon hundreds of questions about their experience, none could be answered, for they simply disappeared. It's unclear all that happened to them in that time, but when this devil resurfaced, he introduced himself as Faurstyr. His resurgence was soon known among the pit fiends and other powers of the infernal armies. His was a name of conscientious debate, as it was believed that he was to join, or perhaps even depose, another member of the Stygian Council. The thought never even occurred to him. Bigger ambitions were at hand. Devils love their deals. However, negotiation isn't a skill you devote much time to when you're locked in an endless war, much less one fought against demons. Deals were still mostly done by archdevils who had the luxury of time to meddle in mortal affairs. But Faurstyr, he upstaged them all. He struck a few choice deals, 3 to be precise. The first deal was made in alliance with gods themselves. Faurstyr came to the Flayed Ones, who had yet to earn that title. By now they knew that they must bring death to the world of Galden, but they were still developing their design. They already knew the shape of it, but these machinations would take time. They needed armies, and such is what the devil brought to them. Faurstyr taught them how they could bend demons to their will, and mold them into an unstoppable, unthinkable horde. How he himself learned this is unknown. Faurstyr was an architect for Annual Reckoning. He gave the gods the pieces that they needed, and at the same time, cleared the board on his own field. With demons turned upwards, the armies of devils were given reprieve, and he knew it would not be long until one archdevil piped up with some notion of new battles to be fought on a different front. A spark that would quickly catch in the army's ranks. The second deal he made with one of the few beings whose ambitions could rival his own, a mortal mage, one turned away from the philosophies and edicts of that mighty order of Valauri, an exile who would in time move against them, and even one of the gods. What the mage got from the deal is a story for another time, but Faurstyr was given a conduit for his great work of fiendish spellcraft. And lastly, his political puppet. He appealed to an archdevil's naivety and greed, for as the civil war he started began, he convinced Lord Mammon to back the revolutionaries. He was wealthiest among them, and Faurstyr promised that this would only further enrich him. Besides, Mammon wasn't exactly well respected among his fellow counselors. This act could make him a hero to the soldiers of the revolting armies. As Annual Reckoning raged above, Hell had its own war to handle, and far more fitting that name would soon become. In the heat of the great dying, Faurstyr made his move, drawing on a wealth of energy from the souls lost in the carnage. He fueled his spell and fired. He focused a tear in reality itself on this former ruler and ripped them from their throne. The predecessor tried to avert this, splitting their forms across each layer of the 9, but every last one met their end. Faurstyr took particular joy in killing the last. But the consequences of such a spell are not so easily contained, and as these avatars fell, so did the respective layers of the 9, consumed by this plane-sundering spell. All except the last. When Faurstyr assumed dominion over Hell, he held the power to ward this last layer against destruction, and called what remained of the others to be joined to it. No longer Hell's, only ever Hell. as one, and he made it so that it ever was, so that he has only ever been king, magic to erase names and knowledge from the world over. Under his thumb, Hell has taken on more of a hierarchy. Rewards come to those of the most cutthroat cleverness. Members of the Infernal Court rise and fall, but old Mammon is still there, the sole survivor of the old regime. Mammon remains, a hollow trophy of that great victory. You might ask why. Why does Faurstyr keep this traitor in his court? Perhaps it is the memory. Almost every other reminder has been lost. Perhaps there is a rage that still brews in Faurstyr, knowing that he will never know a more beautiful memory as that moment of ascension. Never know a greater satisfaction against the challenges to come, nor will he feel a greater hatred than that he harbored towards his predecessor. That's it, folks. There's so much more I could try to say about Faurstyr and all things infernal, but I'll leave that for another day. I just wanted to do his origin story today, and I'll leave it at that. But I thank you all so much for your constant support and wish you all a very lovely day. Oculi